Thank you all for being here for more Star Trek Late Night. What's up, everybody? What's up, Star Trek fans? We are on the brink of episode 3. By now, you may have seen it. But I just wanted to start this video by quickly just kind of talking about some things. I will have my full review of episode 3 later. So no spoilers here. No talk about episode 3. But what I wanted to talk to you guys about is what I've enjoyed and what I have to criticize about Season 3 so far after 2 episodes, and after seeing a 2-minute preview of Episode 3 and a couple other previews as well, which, by the way, after talking to some very close to the show Star Trek people, they were a bit shocked that that 2-minute clip was released and that it was made public before the episode aired. Now, that may have been an ill-advised timing by Paramount, which is something that happens from time to time. But if you're a Star Trek fan, go ahead and do me a favor and click the like button and send it into a black hole or something. I don't know, something goofy. Anyway, I've been a Star Trek fan since 1987 because in 1987 I was about 4 years old or something. And my father was a big Star Trek fan. My father taught calculus at, by the way, I'm a moron compared to my father, but my father taught calculus. And my father worked at Raytheon, and he taught calculus at Northeastern. He was a guy who liked comedy, but he liked being silly, but he really liked sci-fi, and he liked the original series. And so this was a big event to watch Star Trek: The Next Generation for him. And I wouldn't really know that at the time because I was so young at 4, but I did watch the first season with him. And it was probably a year or two later that we continued watching all 3 of the first seasons of The Next Generation. But around season 3, I would rewatch season 1. And probably around that time is when I first really remember watching Star Trek: The Next Generation. So I have gone on to love these characters. My father died right before season 7 of The Next Generation, so he never got to see the conclusion of The Next Generation. And you never got to see any of the movies. But, I went on to love Star Trek, see all the movies, and continue to be obsessed with Star Trek. And we'll get into that in a different video. But just letting you know my credentials, that I really have a deep love for the original series movies. And what this guy said is totally bullshit. So those are the credentials. Going forward, I like to repeat them because this is a newly launched channel, and a lot of people don't know me and don't know where I'm coming from when I say things. In Star Trek, wherever you first started watching is typically what you love. So if you started watching the original series, usually it's hard to break and love something more. And if you love TNG, The Next Generation, typically that's going to be your favorite show as well. And if you maybe got on board mostly around Deep Space Nine, you might love that show the best as well. That's fine. So just letting you know where I come from, I'm definitely a TNG guy, but I do love all the iterations of Star Trek. Except for everything after 2005, but you know what I mean. The original Star Trek. Anyway, let's get into this. So I hope by now you guys have subscribed to my channel because I want your voice to be heard. I want your feedback so I can react to it in these videos. I have a 70,000 subscriber channel where I talk about a different topic than this, and I'm starting a brand new channel, which is this, which has gone from 0 subs to 400 subs in about 4 weeks, so that's good news. It's good to know I can start a brand new channel somewhere else, and we can still create something here. But that being said, I did not like seasons 1 and 2 of Picard. I obviously thought they were terrible. Other than a few scenes with, like, Data and Picard's opening scene is wonderful, I think, in Star Trek Picard Season 1, but then it just kind of devolves into nothing terrible. So, needless to say, Seasons 1 and 2 made me sad inside, dead inside, hate myself, and I was very skeptical going into this season until I heard from several people that it was going to be good, and I was still skeptical then. And after seeing a couple of episodes now, I can say that this certainly isn't perfect, but it certainly isn't the garbage Trek that we had been getting recently. That being said, what I've seen so far, the criticisms I have, first off, let's go to the criticisms. I think it's a little bit dark. Obviously, it looks a little too dark. Like, visually looks too dark. Slightly too dark. If it was just a little bit brighter, I'd be happy. I'm not happy with the swearing. I don't understand. Like, there's always been a big point that we've evolved to a much more perfect time and way of speaking. Star Trek to me has always been, people are so elegant and smart, they wouldn't use swears really, unless it was an extreme circumstance. Or it was a minor thing like damn and things like that. So, I don't like so much swearing. Although in real life, I'll swear up a storm. I don't give a damn. I don't care if you say F-bomb, C-bomb. I say some of the most messed up jokes that you've ever heard. I say them. Trust me. I'm no SJW. I'm no crybaby. And I'm no whatever. I have no dog in the fight of political correctness or anything like that. Absolutely not. The more you can speak and the freer your mind is, the better it is. Because the more real of a person you get to be seen as, and that allows everybody else to judge you better. We don't want to censor people for things. But even though in my mind I'm a reckless, crazy person, I always wanted to be like Jean-Luc Picard because he's so in control usually of himself and sure. And I always wanted to be that, and I never really was. I was probably more like Riker than anybody, but I was never like any of the Star Trek characters because they're all so... not perfect, but they're all very, very well evolved, I will say. Some people would say, oh, they're too perfect and things like that. I will just say that they're well evolved. You know what I mean? The Star Trek crew is well evolved, which as they should be in the future that we're setting up in Star Trek. So the cinematography, it's a little bit dark. I would like to see carpets. I know that Mr. Set designer is blocking people on Twitter for that. I've had good interactions with him on Twitter, though, and I still love his designs. I think he's done a great job. And I think a lot of people have done a really good job on the show. Even if there are things that I might have changed a little bit in my mind, I still appreciate what they went with and that they did do a talented job at many things. So it's a little too dark. Swearing. I do think Captain... I keep wanting to say Rios, but Captain Shaw. Captain Shaw is a little bit of a fluctuational plot device-ish. I even saw somebody in a comment section not that long ago write that it's bad writing. I don't know if it's bad writing, but it's a little bit of a contrivancy or a little contrived sometimes. It's just like sometimes Shaw... And maybe that's part of like it playing into the story that's coming with him where he's got mental things. Now, ideally in Star Trek, you don't want people to have mental issues because there's counselors and there's more advanced medicine. That was a big problem I had in Season 2 of Picard with Picard's family, and what they did. But, Shaw is a little bit weird. One minute he's like, no, you're not taking my ship anywhere and go F yourself. Then, a little bit later, he's like, okay, I guess we can do that, but I'm not happy about it. You know what I mean? And then he's like, then when Picard starts trying to take over the ship, he's like, why are you doing this? So he then changes into somebody who's like giving in a little bit, like, why are you doing this, Admiral? Like, I'm annoyed with you. He goes from basically being like, no, absolutely no, I'm a man, I'm the captain of the ship, to being like, why are you doing this? And then he's like, oh, shit, that's, Picard's, that's your kid? Well, you know what? It's up to you now. Take the ship. And then a little bit later in a sneak peek of episode 3, spoiler, pretty little spoiler here if you haven't seen episode 3. So turn away now if you need to. But in episode 3, in the sneak peek on Paramount that they released ahead of the episode, you see Shaw gets hurt during part of the battle with the Shrike, and then he basically is like, I'm mad again, and this is on you, Riker. You take the ship over. So he's just like, so he's hurt and he's mad so that he can just give the ship to Riker so Riker can become captain. And earlier he's there so he can eventually give the ship to Picard. You know, here, you take over. And then earlier, it's just like he's always sort of like all over the place. You know, it's and to me, I just take it as, listen, he's trying to do his best to be the most responsible captain he can, but at the same time, he really does have respect for Riker and Picard. And it's like he's actually waging this war inside himself of, yes, we should help them, but oh my, but all of my, he's got OCD about how things run on the ship. You know what I mean? I mean, you talk about the needs outweigh the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few. Yes, he's kind of right. In this way, he is right, like Spock. He's like, the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few. Why are you guys not seeing that? But then, on the other hand, he's giving into the emotion. His emotion, their emotion, the emotion of the situation, and human nature. And he's battling all of that. But he's not a Vulcan. If he was a Vulcan, he might just say, needs of the many outweigh the needs of few. Nope, not doing it. But he's human, so he gives in to his emotion. So he is a little bit all over the place, and part of it is to sort of help our good guy characters get over. We say that in wrestling terms. And, but I'm there for it, to be honest. I don't care. I'm there for it. And I think the more we learn about Shaw, the more this will start to make more sense a little bit, because I don't know, just seems like we're going to go there. But that's my opinion. Captain Shaw is a little bit wishy-washy. It's not really a negative. That's my third thing. It's more of a question, like, But I really do like Shaw. And Todd Stashwick plays him well. I really like Todd Stashwick. This bizarre charisma coming off Todd Stashwick in this show is very interesting. So, and that leads us to some of the great things that we've seen so far, which are Riker. Riker is some of the best Riker we've ever gotten at this point. Already, it feels like. I hope we get some throwback Riker to kind of cement him even more. I like that we're getting to see him in command while Picard's there. People in the last video were like, we've seen him in command before in Best of Both Worlds. I know that, but we don't get to see Riker commanding on his own or commanding on his own when Picard is there. We've never seen that. Really, I don't think. So it's really, that's the whole point of this scene that came out. Like, Picard's like, maybe now I have to start calling you number one, or whatever he says. So like, that's the point there. But, so that's interesting. I want to see Picard in charge. I mean, I make no mistake about it. I want to see Picard. And we got to see that, too, in the last episode, man. So there's my number 2. Riker is a star right now. Frakes is killing it. Frakes is actually killing it as Riker. And Picard is back. Dude, I popped. This was like when I was a kid and Hulk Hogan came out of nowhere at WrestleMania 9 and won a title. Dude, Captain Picard is back. Captain Picard has been gone for the last couple of seasons. This just old, frail man who's sad about all his emotion, just awful. It just wasn't even Picard. So I've been watching this like shell of Picard for years now, 2 years. It's been awful. I'll never watch those shows again. And all of a sudden, it's like on this show, Picard came alive. It's like he just woke up on the bridge. He was like, that's it, shields up, like, engage! Like, it's like, holy shit, Picard's back. So Picard is back, as a super old person. He's very old. He's very, Patrick Stewart is getting very old. In his interviews, you can see him, not being all there about some things. And, he's very old, And in real life, he's having these older senior moments, we'll say, for lack of a better term. But he's still got it. And he's got it in certain scenes in this show that it's like, oh, yeah. So it's believable. Just like in All Good Things, Picard was old and he was running around like, damn it, I'm not an infidel or whatever. And it's like, yes, he's so old, he's acting that old, and he actually is that way now. That's a funny thing. But instead of being so uppity and ranting, he's more slower talking and speaking because he's actually old. So Picard is back to being Picard, or as Picard as he can be. Riker is, boom, killing it. Beverly, at the beginning, I really loved it. People complained about her being like an action-kicking ass Beverly or whatever. She always did that. She was always the doctor first. But there were times where Beverly, she had to ninja kick a guy and phaser him to death in an episode. She had her little fight with the ghost guy. She had the warp static bubble episode. She had to run around, dive through things. There's been multiple other examples of her phasering people and doing stuff. The action scene in a way with her and Geordi where they had to decompress the bay because of that burning biohazard plasma or whatever was happening on the ship during that episode Disaster, I think it was, or the one with the elevator breaks and Picard's on the thing with the kids. And her and Geordi have to hang on. And Geordi passes out. She says, we're both going to pass out and we're going to lose consciousness, but somebody's going to have to get to the keypad in time to shut the shuttle bay or whatever. Geordi passes out and doesn't make it. Beverly does. So this type of sort of ability of Beverly, and not only is she also taking command of the Enterprise, and she's a competent commander at times as well. So this has been shown plenty of times in TNG. So it's not that far out really at all. Listen, if it was far out, I would call it out because I can't stand that. I'd be like, here we go. They had to make they had to make the woman stronger than everyone and kick everyone's ass. And trust me, that's not this. I think there's 20 years we don't know about, and that I do recognize. I recognize her as Beverly still. I want her to be the doctor that just helps people and does that stuff. I don't want her to be this Han Solo type of thing. I'll admit that, but it still feels like Beverly so far. We'll see what happens going forward. We're going to get a whole lot more of her coming up, and we'll know a lot more then. And obviously Worf, showing up and kicking ass. Now, a lot of people complained about Elron or Enron or whatever his name was from the first episode. Elnor, why did you have to behead that man? Somebody get me a hold of Elnor. Elnor. I don't know. I can't really do Picard right now. My voice hurts. Here's the thing. I need to speak with Elnor. But no, Elnor beheads a guy, and everyone's like, oh, that's too crazy. I actually kind of liked Elnor's thing, please, choose life. Choose life, my friend. I kind of liked that. He had this monkish thing about him, like, hey, if you try to kill Picard, I'll kill you, but I really don't want to kill people, and killing sucks. Let's not do this. So that Elnor, Elnor, I'm sorry, Elnor. Elnor didn't bother me that much. It was after that episode that it got a little crazy, though. And cutting the head off, I did think was a little much, but I was like, all right. And Worf has now cut people up and chopped the head off. But it's like, the guy's always had a bat lift. So because TNG was PG on television, you never really saw people get sliced up too much and decapitated. But Worf was definitely capable of it, did it, would do it, and practiced for it. So Worf doing this isn't out of character to me either. Although many times Worf would strive for peace, and he wouldn't hurt people. But in this Star Trek, they were about to behead Raffi. They were going to behead her. They showed her that we beheaded someone else. Now we're going to behead you. And Worf shows up and beheads them. So to me, that's really not that bad. But it is funny. People were mad he was going to be a pacifist. Now they're mad that he hacked people's heads off. But so far I like Worf. When he speaks, man, that's Worf. He looks pretty good. I'm not 100%. I would have gone with the full-on, samurai, white-haired guy. But it's actually kind of cool. And maybe it will grow on me, and maybe it will start to connect better later on. So we'll see what happens with Worf. So far, like that. So we're still waiting on Geordi, Deanna, who we've seen before in Picard. Deanna, Geordi, and, lore or whatever is going to happen going forward. I'm excited so far. This Vulcan science officer, or what I think she is, she says she has some pretty good lines. Not a lot to do yet, the bridge crew, but what they've done, they've been pretty good. They look like they're part of the crew. Doesn't seem weird or out of place so far to me. So very good stuff. How are you enjoying Star Trek Picard Season 3 so far? So far, I think I gave both of these episodes a 7 on Episode 1 and a 7.5 on Episode 2. I am enjoying it pretty well so far. Can't wait to see what happens on Episode 3 today. What do you think? And if you saw the episode, maybe don't spoil anything, but leave your ratings. I'd love to see you guys' ratings. If you made it this far in the video, write hashtag Starfleet, I don't know why, in the comments, and then below that, give your ratings of episodes 1 and 2, and if scene 3, give your episode rating of 3. That way you're not spoiling anything, but you're, giving us an idea of the barometer. Love to see that. And if you're brand new to the channel, thanks for subscribing to Star Trek Late Night. More to come tomorrow, so stay tuned to the channel. Plus live streams coming and more. I'm pumped up. Star Trek Picard Season 3 has been pretty good so far. Terry Matalas has revitalized my spirit for Star Trek. Thank God. Hit him up on Twitter. Tell Paramount. Tell Kurtzman. Tell everybody. Terry Matalas is doing it. And you want more of it. Because right now I'm convinced that this is pretty good. Let's see where it goes, though. It's only been 2 episodes. It could all go down the toilet. But, we'll see. This is Star Trek Late Night. And until next time, hailing frequencies, open. Some other videos that you might have missed on my channel. Keep watching now. I don't know why I'm doing that voice.